Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Learning the Basics. Today we're going to talk about effort values, also commonly referred to as EVs. This will be a two-part video. So part one today, I'm just going to explain what they are, why they matter, and how to EV train. And part two, I'm going to show you guys how to EV train in the most efficient way. Also, kind of a discretion, EV does not refer to the Pokemon EV. I once had a friend that thought EV training was breeding a bunch of EVs. And while it made sense to him at the point, he spent 3 hours breeding EVs and it was a very sad day for him. Anyways, let's carry on. So what are EVs? Well, they're points your Pokemon gets for knocking out another Pokemon. For example, let's say you have a Charmander and you knock out a Pidgey. By knocking out the Pidgey, you're going to get an EV point. Now, there are EV points for every stat. There's HP EVs, attack EVs, defense, speed, so on. And the EV the Pokemon gives is usually determined off of its highest base stat. So if you guys don't remember, here's a picture of a Pidgey. Well, not a picture, but you know, the numbers of its base stat. And so the highest base stat usually determines what the EV will be. And so sometimes it doesn't follow that rule, but in general it does. And so if you're wondering what a EV a Pokemon gives, you can usually look it up by Googling it or some other form of method. But let's look at Pidgey really quick. So Pidgey has a variety of base stats, but you can see its highest base stat is speed. So Pidgey's going to give one speed EV. Now let's look at Pidgeotto. So with evolved Pokemon, they tend to give more EVs, or the EV they give changes. So Pidgeotto, its highest base stat is still speed. However, instead of giving one speed EV, it gives two. Now that's important to know when you're training a Pokemon because it could really screw you up. So why do EVs matter? Well, EVs can increase a Pokemon's stats significantly in respected areas. For example, let's say your Pokemon's level 100 and you knock out 4 Pidgeys, getting 4 speed EVs. Now 4 speed EVs will increase your speed stat by 1 at level 100. And so, you know, as you can see, it can be kind of important here. The Pokemon speed could go from, let's say, 299 to 300, meaning it could outspeed certain things. At level 50, it's a little different. It takes more EVs to get a stat point up. So at level 50, 8 speed EVs increases your speed stat by 1 point. Now, since it's half of 100, it kind of makes sense to be that way. But the cool thing about EV training is you can train your Pokemon to be stronger than other Pokemon, faster than other Pokemon, and bulkier. And that's very important in competitive play because you gotta be able to know how fast Pokemon can be, if you can outspeed it, and what you need to do to survive certain attacks. Which is a little more complicated and I will cover in a future video. So let's go over the math of EVs. So a Pokemon can have a total of 510 combined EVs. So like I said earlier, there's EVs for every stat. In total, the Pokemon can have 510 EVs combined with all the stats. So a Pokemon stat can only have 252 EV points. That means if you knock out Pidgeys repeatedly, you can only have 252 speed EVs. If you go above, it won't count. And so you can EV train your Pokemon in a variety of methods. 252 is just the maximum a Pokemon can hold in one stat. Now at level 50, 252 divided by 8 equals 31.5. So it means your stat point will go up 31 points. Pokemon rounds down if there's a decimal place, so 0.5 doesn't really matter. You must be wondering, why is there 0.5 or 4 EVs left over? Well, Pokemon has this weird thing with bonus points for level 50 Pokemon. If you have a Pokemon at level 50 and it has an odd IV such as 31, then an extra 4 speed EVs will give a stat point bonus, meaning that 0.5, if you have an odd IV, 31 IV, you give 4 extra EVs in there, it's going to go up 1 more point. So instead of getting 31 stat point increase, you're going to get 32 stat point increase. At level 100, 2 extra EVs will give the bonus as well. Sadly, the bonus does not count on even IVs, so sad day. So let's look at Charmander, for example, to, just make sure you really understand this. HP, defense, special attack, and speed will all be able to get the bonus since their IVs are odd. But attack and special defense will not be able to get the bonus since the IVs are even. So, how to train good Pokemon? Well, EV training can be very simple and very difficult, like I mentioned earlier. If you look at the bottom of the slide, you'll see two different EV spreads that I put down below. These EV spreads are EV spreads that I commonly use. The first one is my favorite one. You basically put 252 EV points into any stat, 252 EV points in any other stat, and then 4 EV points in another stat. This way you can maximize 2 of your stat points while adding another point to another one, as long as your IVs are odd. You know, if your IVs are even, you're going to have to change this up a bit to make it divisible by 8. Now, the second one is usable, but I don't use it too often, but you guys can use it. It's good for, you know, kind of spreading EVs if you're not sure where to put them. So you can put 124 EVs in any stat, 132 in any other stat, and then 252 in a third stat. This way you're maximizing one stat while splitting it evenly between 2 other stats. So, next video, effort values part 2. I'm going to show you how to EV train in the game, quick ways to EV train, and how to choose what stats to EV train. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I'll see you guys next time.